Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again today on Todd-versations and Todd-Bits. We're going to have a fun show today. I'm already predicting this goes off the rails. Just predicting it. I don't know. I can't guarantee it, but chances are it probably does. Please give it up for the Vice President of Corporate Produce at Associated Wholesale Grocers, the one, the only, Tony Mitchell. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. T. Mitch in the house, baby.
Yeah, thanks so much, TL. Man, it's so good to see you, brother. Tell you what, we haven't seen you for a while, and I think the last time I seen you, we might have been on the golf course.
Well, that's highly possible, and thank God that we were. I appreciate that. Yes, very much. I have no problem saying yes to many of those invitations. Golf is a wonderful thing. I do appreciate. Yeah, it's great to see you too, brother. And I'm super happy that you're here, especially now that you've got what you're up to now at AWG. I'm excited to talk about them. I think that people hear the name AWG. There's probably a lot of people out there don't know what it is, what you guys are all about. So I'm excited to share that. I'm really thrilled to have you on. You're one of my favorite people. And like I said, I expect this. I hope this goes off the rails. I do have some surprises at the end, which I didn't talk to you about before we started, just to keep in my back pocket, just to get you nervous right now. I want you a little nervous right now. That's all. I want you a little on edge. That's what I'm looking for. A little on edge.
Hey, dude, I'm on edge all the time. Can you tell?
I know. I'm just feeding into the narrative, baby. I'm feeding into the narrative.
So let's get honestly, I'm humbled.
No, don't be honest. Please be dishonest. Don't be honest. Be dishonest.
Okay. I'm humbled that you asked me to be on the show for one.
I'm desperate for guests. I'm desperate for guests.
Well, that's true. You got to be if you come to me, right? But no, I've known you forever, brother. We've had a lot of good times.
We have, and thank God that was before they had a lot of camera technology on cell phones.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I still got you on video though.
Video's fine. I'm totally fine. I'm much better on video, especially if it's dance move. My dance moves are epic. When I do the sprinkler, everybody just clears out. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Maybe we'll do a little dancing at the end then.
I'm dancing now. Mentally, I'm dancing. I'm doing the samba in my head right now because you're here.
That's perfect. Love it.
But I really am excited you're here because I love what you're about, and I love your personality, and I love your commitment to this industry, which has been steadfast forever and a day. And I'm excited for where you are and what you're doing, and I'm excited to let people know. And so, all bullshit aside, let's get everybody up to speed a little bit. Give everybody just a little 411 on T. Mitch and who you are and your kind of journey to wasting an afternoon hanging out with me.
Oh, exactly. Well, it's not a big journey, to be honest with you. I started when I got out of high school. I said, look, told my parents, I said, I really don't want to go to college. It's my father was in the grocery business, and I said, I want to go to work. I want to earn money. I want to buy a car. I want to do all that. So he said, well, let's go to work. So went to work for him, and he was doing that for the first 4 years of out of high school. And he ended up getting out of the grocery business, and for that, where he owned the grocery stores, he got out of that. And I love the industry so much, the produce side of it. I said, you know what, I'm gonna continue on. So I went and did some worked at retail for a couple years, and then got hired at Kaido Foods in 1992. Kaido Foods out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah. I'm sure TL, that's where we met, right? That's where it all started, right?
Yeah.
But started in 1992 at Kaido Foods, and I stayed there for I was there for 27 years, and I started out taking orders, talking to stores, and worked my way up to the 27 years to vice president of sales, marketing, and procurement. Right. So actually, the 25 years was with Kaido, and then we got acquired by Spartan Ash.
Right.
In 2017. So went to work, Spartan Ash, went to work for them, and oversaw their corporate produce for 2 years. And then I decided I wanted to expand my knowledge and get on the grower shipper side. So I went to work for a group, Vision Import Group. Did a lot of citrus, mangoes, limes, lemons, that type stuff. So
cocktail fruit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you always got to have a little lemon with your cocktail, right?
Well, so, hey, scurvy. I say it all the time. Scurvy's coming back, and the best way to do it is put a lemon in your cocktail.
Exactly. And I got really, and you know what? I really enjoyed it, but it was I got humbled too. That's a tough biz, man. I know you did that. You did that for years yourself.
Yeah, some of us are superhuman. Some of us aren't. I get it.
Exactly. So I did that for a couple of years, and then this wonderful opportunity opened up at Associated Wholesale Grocers, and I got I don't know, they must have been like at the bottom of the ring and said, hey, let's call this guy, because he must, he's our last guy. We'll call him. So it all worked out. I went to work for Associated Wholesale Grocers in first part of September. And I tell you what, it's I don't know if those of you who don't know, Associated Wholesale Grocers, we're a co-op. And
Right.
Co-op is it's all member owned. It's independent retailers. And I grew up with Kaido. We serviced a bunch of independent retailers. That's what we did, right? We did that for many years. So it was exciting to get back into that part of the business. And the team at AWG is just fantastic. And it's exciting, man. I tell you, it's a great group of people. And I'm sure you're going to ask, what's the next question? You're going to ask, hey, what is AWG? What do we do?
I've got all kinds of. I have math questions. I have geography questions.
Don't ask math. Math is.
You said ask you anything. You said ask you anything. What are you changing now? You don't get to change the rules midstream. That's bullshit. Fine, I'll leave the math questions up. I'll leave the math questions out. I mean, it was an easy one.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind.
Was it 2 plus 2? Was it 2 plus 2?
Yeah, but I knew you'd say 5, so I went for a different one.
Well, I did. Well, that's what we do in Indiana. We always up at 1.
Yeah, I always add 1. I get that. I think that helps the Colts actually.
Well, you know what? Hey, speaking of the Colts. Hey, speaking of the Colts, this is a big weekend.
It is a big weekend for the Colts.
If we win, we're in the playoffs. If we lose,
I understand that. But the best part about this broadcast, by the time we air this, you'll be out of the playoffs. So it's perfect because we're going to air this in like a week. So it's not going to be a big deal.
Come on.
No, being honest. What do you want me to do?
Come on, you're my boy.
Should I drop it before Sunday?
You're supposed to be my supporter, bro.
I am your support. Sometimes support means being honest. I'm just being honest.
If
you're hoping,
be dishonest.
In all fairness, if you're hoping at the last week of the football season to make the playoffs, you suck already. So just get over it. You ain't lasting a long time. Come on. You're begging.
That's true.
You're begging.
No.
We're
going to turn it on. We're going to get it. Oh, come on. We're going to get on. We're going to get in the playoffs. We're going to turn it on, brother.
Yeah. Okay. I truly, I believe you from the bottom of my heart. That's what's going to happen. No chance.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Don't worry about it.
It's like your golf game. It's like your golf game on the back nine.
What does that mean?
You turn it on.
Oh, it's on 24/7. It never turns on.
That's after a few. What I'm saying is that's after a few drinks.
I'm always better after. Yeah, well, it's like playing pool. You have a couple. The more drinks you have, the better you play pool, right? Isn't that how it works?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got the one eye closed. You never miss a shot. No, I totally about that.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right, now I told you off the rails. I already said it. We're 5 minutes in. We're off the rails already. Let's backtrack. Let's go back to the AWG for a second. You touched on a little bit being a co-op, and I think I'd like to explain that just a little bit in the broader sense of what is Associated Wholesale Grocers in the sense of you've got produce, but it's bigger than that. And can you kind of touch on the on the whole monster?
Yeah. So it's everything you see in the 4 walls of the grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
We service anything in them 4 walls of the grocery store. So you're looking at meat, dairy, deli, bakery, frozen, center store, the HBC aisle. I mean, anything you see in the 4 walls of a grocery store, we service.
Right.
And we do a pretty darn good job of it.
No doubt. You guys have been around a few minutes.
Yeah. And especially during these times when the supply chain so tapped, the supply chain's been tough, right? So we feel like we definitely do it better than anybody else.
Well, you touched on something earlier, and I want to come back to it, and it just popped back into my feeble mind. You talked a little bit about the independent grocers, right? And I think that depending on where you live in this country and around the world, I don't think people recognize how many true independent grocers exist, especially in the Midwest. But there is a ton of people that are out there that are literally independent grocers that you guys deal with. I mean, it is literally husband and wives, generational families that have been in the community for a long period of time that serve their community.
Yep.
And it's when you kind of peel back and get into some of these independent operators who are out there, they've got some amazing stories. So I'm sure that's got to be a fun part about this, is getting to meet some of these really cool, especially generational stuff, that these young entrepreneurs back then that took this challenge on and built a business. Literally, they are the story in a lot of these small towns and in these communities. And they're a vital lifeline to those communities. So it's really cool to see the independence and the support that you guys give to them. So we touched a little bit about all the things that AWG does as far as, grocery and health and beauty and all the other stuff. But, when I think about what you guys do, let's talk about that specifically so folks know, because you're buying, you're warehousing, you're trucking, I'm assuming you're merchandising, you've got a myriad of stuff in your holster, the bullets in your holster. Can you touch a little bit about kind of what AWG does in that respect?
Yeah, so we have 8 distribution centers and actually 9 distribution centers now. We just opened up a new one in the upper Midwest, the St. Cloud, Minnesota area. But AWG, we distribute all of our goods, right? We have the distribution centers. So a lot of warehousing, right? We're buying a ton of product. We have to know the supply chain upside, everywhere, right? We need to know that. We're bringing the goods in, we're selecting it, putting it on our trucks, we're sending out to our members. So again, it's supply chain dynamics, right? And
well, yeah, 100%.
And it's what's really cool, Todd, is we're servicing the independents, right? The rural communities and all these stores that all you hear a lot of times about the bigger chains, but
right.
These independents of the world are really, the majority of them are doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And we service the small, the medium, the large. So again, we have 3,300 stores that we service.
That's legit, dude. That's a legit number. That's up there that's as big as anybody in this country. And, but the neat thing too, I'm sorry, but the neat thing about your cooperative model is that those 3,300 stores are a part of your buy. So your buy power, who you are in the marketplace is, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but it's not just one, small store in wherever that's out buying. You're buying for 3,300 members. You've got that buy power. You've got some horsepower behind you, which is why I think these independents are thriving because of what you guys have created.
And that's a good point, Todd. And really what we consider ourselves is a big retailer, right?
Yeah, for sure. I could totally see that.
We're buying and our retailers, our members, basically we work for our members. And that's what's really cool. That's what's different about us being a co-op is our board is made up of our members.
Right.
Of our members. And we work for our stores and our independent retailers. So we're always out there thinking what's best for them and how we can help, better serve them. And again, it's a fun business, man. We just have great people at AWG and great members up and, throughout the country. And I tell you what, it's been a really good thing. And I'm glad I made that jump. It's been fantastic.
Oh, I think I know. I love it. I mean, I love the independent retail story and there's certainly some amazing operators out there.
Yeah.
Want to touch really quick. You brought up your board, and I'd like to jump into that really quick and just ask. Your board seats, of your company are made up of your members, right?
Yeah.
And I understand, structuring that way, it makes sense, right? You've kind of got those voices there that kind of understand the nuances of this and that, right? It's one of those old deals. You don't necessarily have a construction guy go to sit on a board of a brain surgery company, right? It's just kind of like you kind of stay in your lane. I think that helps tremendously. Tell me a little bit what you think from your perspective that gives you versus your competition out there, because you got those guys that are, that have gone to the store at 4:30 in the morning because somebody didn't show up and they had to open the door because they had the keys, and that kind of stuff. Do you think that perspective that brings to your board sets you apart from your competitors?
Yeah, we're listening to our members, right? We're listening to our members and we're helping them grow. We're not sitting there telling them what they have to do. They're helping us in our business. It's a really good working relationship. They're asking for our support. We're asking for their support. And it's definitely it's a great model. It really is. And Barry Queen, who's the chairman of the board, has stores in Kansas City. So again, it's I can't tell you, just the group of board members I've met so far have just been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've been in the trenches. They get how I say all the time, they get how to play this game, right? And so at the end of the day, I think that perspective has got to give you a beacon of light that's got to be better than some of the other models that are out there that don't necessarily have that that kind of board. They've got the board experience, but not that board knowledge. Again, back down into the trenches type mentality. Yeah,
right. And we want to do things, and we want to grow and build, and that's all driven by the board as well, right? So they know exactly what's going on. They know their cost. There's no secrets and markups and all that stuff. It's very transparent.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I do. When you talked a little bit about location, I just want to kind of frame that up for folks that are listening here in the States. I mean, I know you guys, the corporate headquarters is in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. And so how far are you guys spread out? Are you guys left and right of Kansas City everywhere?
Yeah. So Kansas City, we kind of run that center of the country.
Right.
So Kansas City is our corporate office, and we have, that's one of our bigger distribution centers there. We have Norfolk, Nebraska, Springfield, Missouri. We have Kenosha, which we call Great Lakes.
Right.
Oklahoma City,
right.
Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, and then of course Pearl River, which is Gulf Coast to down around the New Orleans area.
Right.
So and then again we just opened up. We just started shipping out of our new facility up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and that's for the Coburn's group up there.
Right. I think it's great. I mean, and it's good to frame that up for folks so they get a clear understanding. But again, 3,300, if you think about it, 3,300 stores, it's not a very wide swath if you think about it. So your distribution model, where you can do, how fast you can react and touch people, that's pretty amazing. Just because we touched on it, any consideration of like maybe becoming a Chiefs fan and getting on the right side of that conversation for this playoff season? You don't have to answer me. Don't worry about it.
But I don't like red. I just got to tell you, I just don't like red.
You look good. I would think you would look good in red. Well, you look good in anything, but I think you can pull off red. I think you pull off red.
Actually, I've been to a couple Chiefs games. It's a fun atmosphere. I can't remember who played though. That's the problem.
The thing about going to a Chiefs game is at least you get to appreciate winning a little more. That's all. I'm done with it. I'm done.
I tell you what, we should go sometime. It's a hell of a venue.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that it is.
If you like outdoor football, I mean, and it's just a great venue.
I'm in. Count me in. Yeah. I'm down.
Absolutely.
I'm coming next season. Next season, it's a done deal.
Who's your pick Monday night for the college championship? That's here in Indianapolis.
It is, and well, this would be great because we're going to drop this broadcast, after the championship follows. But I got to root for Georgia just because I'm sick of Alabama. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's just, I love winning teams, but my God, right? I mean, Alabama could probably have a fairly good record in the NFL the way they keep doing stuff against some of these teams. You got to love Georgia just because they haven't beaten Alabama yet, right? It's kind of that hurdle they got to get over. I love the fact that it's in Indy. I think if there's, of all the places I think about from a neutral atmosphere, I think of that, Lucas Oil as that really neutral stadium. So I think that's going to be interesting. I think both teams are going to travel well with their fan base. So I think that's good. I think it's going to be a really good game. I really do. I hope that it is a shootout like I expect it to be. I hope that score is 40 something to maybe 37 something. I think if it gets down to a 3-3 at the end of the first quarter, I think it's going to be a struggle. I think Georgia's going to have to score a lot of points because I think Alabama's going to naturally do that. And, they're going to score 24 points, even if they're not scoring a lot of points. So I think it's going to be, I'm going to root for Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama wins, but I'm going to put, money line, I'm going to put it on Georgia.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to see a good game, but I'm kind of with you. I'd like to see Georgia win, but I just don't want to see a blowout. I just want to see a good game.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to, I'd be shocked if it's a blowout. And I love the fact we're prognosticating. We get to drop this and see how right we are publicly, right? That's the best part of this.
Yeah, right.
We're going to, right. But I don't think
maybe we should have an after party.
Done. I'm okay. Sure.
Right.
I'm in. But, I think what's fun about this is that I think the potential for it to be, an 80-point total score could be there. And that's fun to watch. Shootouts are fun to watch. So unlike the Colts game, you're just hoping for a field goal. No big deal. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Well, yeah. You know what? 3 points is better than 0, right?
It's good. Hey, you know what? Absolutely. But like I always say, the world, everybody can shoot a layup. You need big guys to shoot 3-pointers.
That's right.
That's all.
That's all.
Right. All right, let's get back. See, we're off the rails again, for God's sakes. So
hey, when haven't we been off the rails? Me and you.
It's a good point. I knew this. I knew this was going to happen. I kind of gave up. I kind of gave up hope on this one before I even started, which is fine. This is what this is about. It's about the conversation. It's about having a good time.
I apologize to the group. Anybody that's listening, I apologize already.
Yeah, once your HR department sees this, I'm sure you're going to be calling me. Tell me something I like about that. You know, when I kind of dove into my time with AWG, but really kind of rolled this back when I talked with you about coming on and sharing what you're doing and really what AWG is about, because I think it's great. One of the things that really kind of impacted me when I was kind of digging was this AWG Cares program that you guys have. And I think it's important that we touch on this, because the whole basis for what I do in this broadcast, less the kind of off the rails today, is about inspiring people and uplifting and finding things out there that make the world a better place and highlighting them. And I think that, you know, this exemplifies that. And if you wouldn't mind touching on that for everybody a little bit, because I think it's worthy of our time to talk about.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up. And I'm telling you, so it's a wonderful program. In this AWG Cares, it's disaster relief, it's medical research, it's for the homeless and hunger. And I tell you, it's driven by the associates, which is really cool. And if you look at it, and they started it back in 2017, and we've done over 102 grants to organizations nominated by the AWG employees and the VMC employees.
Wow.
We've really given over $230,000 to the charities. So
awesome.
It's just an amazing, and again, what's cool about it's driven by the employees. Employees, they decide if they want to sign up for it or not and give to it. So I tell you what, it's just something, you know, you can't appreciate stuff like that enough.
No, I mean, I think it's so important. And I think when you get your company involved from a multiplicity of angles into something that is uplifting your local communities, the communities they serve, et cetera, there's a level of energy that comes behind that. It becomes much more meaningful than just, you know, your standard end of the year donation to whatever charity it might be. This is something they're living and they're seeing the result. You know, and my understanding of it, like, you know, you're seeing the results directly affecting the communities that these folks are wanting to get stuff done in. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and what's cool is it's the communities that our people work in. You know, it's our communities where they live, they work. So it's fantastic that our associates are stepping up and doing that, which is.
I think it's great.
I applaud AWG and all the associates that are doing this, because I think it's fantastic.
I do too, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to give it a shout out, because I just think that the more corporately we can do to better the day across every field, doesn't matter if it's, you know, produce or bread or nails or tires, the more we can do to give back and make a difference in our local communities, it's how we're going to win the day. It's how we're going to change the conversation. It's how we're going to inspire positive changes in our communities and uplift. And I think we've got to be doing more of that out there in the world. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I appreciate, I'm a huge fan of that. And I'm glad you guys are doing it. It's another reason why I think AWG is just, you know, it's such a great firm to work with from the supply side, but also to be working with, you know, as a partner of AWG from the retail side. I just think it's just, you know, it's very commendable. So let's get down to your bellywick, dude. Let's talk about, you know, your world a little bit. What's new in the produce world out there today that you want to talk about? I mean, obviously logistics is a big deal. Supply is a big deal. So I'm going to throw you a big question. You know, what's new in produce, but also to talk to me about the logistical pressures that are out there that are real. You know, the trucks that are $3 million a mile or whatever they are now, and you can't get them. And, you know, you're having to give a kidney or something to get a truck. But talk a little bit about all that from your perspective.
So what's new in produce? And I thought about that because, you know, I looked at it and said, well, you know, what's new up and coming in produce, right? And if you really look at it, is this, you know, the CEA programs, the controlled environment agriculture, right? And where that's going. And if you know, it's crazy because there's a ton of people getting into that, right?
No doubt
into that field. But I think it's definitely going to be there. It's growing. Just, you know, you look at all the different things that are going on in the, you know, nature with, you know, the lettuce, the growing, you know, some of the challenges we've had over the years. So this vertical farming and this, you know, greenhouse growing is definitely, you know, it's starting to, you know, get some traction, right? I think it's a little early yet. I think there's a lot of things got to happen, and, you know, folks got to grow in the right areas, but that's probably the newest thing coming up that I see that's really going to probably make an impact over the next 5 to 8 years, I would say. Mm-hmm. I could see that, especially, on the salad side with, different, all the things going on there.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space. Ag technology is a fascinating space.
Yeah, it really is. I've actually seen one in the indoor growing facilities, and it's amazing. Amazing what they do, how they do it. So I guess that's probably where the next 5 to 8 years, that's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's going to be a business that's not going to slow itself down. I think there's going to be, with any kind of a startup that gets saturated in the ways that it is, there's always that thinning of the herd. But I think you're going to see some stuff. And what I'm fascinated by is a lot of these guys that are creating technology in this that are not necessarily, yes, they're doing salads, but they're creating this patented technology that's going to make farming better for the future for everybody. And that's what I'm excited about, putting food in a food desert. I mean, you're in the middle of someplace, you're in the middle of the Middle East and you cannot grow lettuce outside, but you can now, and you can have fresh food to your community. I think it's going to be it's a game changer. I really believe that.
I tell you, I was reading last week an article and talking about the rooftop growing now and how big that's getting in certain areas of the country. And I think that's something that's going to, continue to grow as well. So produce is definitely it's changing a little bit. You talked about some of the challenges, right? You talking supply chain challenges, and the biggest one, of course, is logistics and labor, right? Let's talk about the labor piece.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, labor everywhere has just been a huge challenge, and it's affecting supply, right? So and then you got transportation where you just don't have enough drivers,
right?
To get products and goods, but ultimately to the end consumer, right? So you see the inflation piece. Inflation's last year, 2021 is the highest I've ever seen inflation consistently in produce. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. So again, we just have to figure out how we're going to deal with that and go from there. But now it's produce is challenging, but there's you just got to think of ways to do it easier and better.
Well, we've always pivoted, right? You're dealing with something, you pull that piece of fruit off the tree, you've essentially killed it. Now you're trying to keep it alive and get it to the consumer to eat, right? And so we've always learned to pivot. And I think that's a big thing. But when it comes to logistics, you're right. It's a huge problem. I having just been down into Southern California, I was in Long Beach, and I took a visit, took a tour, and saw what the ports look like. And I got to tell you, they are stacked up with containers. And there was five boats parked, fully stacked with containers, and not one crane was moving. Yeah, it's legit. I mean, it's a real problem down there. I don't know where there's no place to put these containers. They just can't turn them out quick enough, which speaks to some of the issues the trucking side has, things that need to be changed. And we need to get realistic about the trucking business and let these guys make money and do their jobs as opposed to put all these restrictions on them. But that's another show and another argument I'll have with right. Believe me, I'll get hate mail for that in some ways, but I don't.
Can I be on that? Can I get on that?
Dude, 100%, because it's we make some of these decisions for we have people making decisions for these truckers that aren't truckers, right? We do this all the time through our processes, right? We think we're doing something great, but at the end of the day, we're not thinking about the ramifications of what it is long term. And I think some of the rules we've made around trucking exemplify that at this point. That there's things we need to change. Do you feel like it's going to change? Do you feel? I mean. And if it does change, what's going to change? Is somebody going to wave a wand or, rub the crystal ball type thing? And all of a sudden we're going to get another 50,000 trucks. I don't know how this thing changes. That's what confuses me.
I don't know. Maybe Jeff Bezos will come up with a bunch of driverless trucks and, everybody, won't have to drive them. We'll just sit back and put it, you can drive your own trucks from the back of from behind your desk. No, I don't know. What I was going to touch on too, Todd, is, you look at the growers, the shipper and the growers of the world, that are bringing this product on the containers you're talking about, that are setting out there for 2-3 weeks. That's living, breathing product.
Oh yeah.
That a lot of what's happening is that product goes nowhere.
Right.
It unfortunately gets to the distributor or whoever that's going to, and it has issues, right? So again, right. You got to feel for the losses that they're having as well. So. It's a big problem. I feel it's bigger than we know.
Well, it is a big problem, and you touched on something really important to think about. If you're coming up and you're trying to bring up your product from South America, let's say, right, to fill that winter supply side, and I have heard these stories directly from the shippers where they have a load of cherries, whatever it might be. it's been sitting off the port of Long Beach for 2 weeks. The time they get it to the dock, it's just soup coming out of the bottom. So if you're the shipper down there with your family and your community and your farm and everybody works for you, dependent upon making that sale to pay those bills and to pay your workers, et cetera, why the hell would you want to send food up here? So now you start to wonder, hey, are you going to start to see some of this stuff in the United States? Because it's a risk. Why not, send it to Europe, send it to Asia, send it someplace that doesn't have this big of a headache. That's what scares me a little bit when you start to look at some of this. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be catastrophic, but I think it's a moment that we need to pause and recognize our dependence upon logistics on a global scale to feed our country in a lot of ways. And we need to better understand that and the risk associated with failed logistics.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine in the import business, and he does a lot of cherries, and he has a facility on the West Coast, and they're big on the East Coast. They're home base on the East Coast.
Right.
He's telling me, he goes, I'm not even bringing cherries into the West Coast this year. He goes, I'm taking them all to the East Coast and trucking them to the West Coast. Back, because he says it's cheaper.
Right. And that's, of course, and that certainly plays into the narrative, being carbon neutral and your carbon footprint and all this other shit that we're trying to get away from in so much ways. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it is. It really is crazy when you think about it. But I hope out of this moment that we're dealing with, which I think is somewhat unprecedented in some ways. And great, we've had trucking shortage. Hey, when Christmas trees are rolling out of the Pacific Northwest, do you run into problems with trucks? Sure, because they're all hauling Christmas trees. I get some of that. But I think this is such a larger scale. I hope that we step back from this and put the right people in the room and, again, go back and look at the risks that we need to mitigate in the future, because I think it could be at a much greater scale if we're not careful. That's what concerns me.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this, guess who's paying more? The end consumer. The end consumer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, it's, that goes back to our government officials, I feel, but that we won't get into that discussion,
No, but I mean, look, transportation, I consider a positive cost of food, right? I mean, it's a part of the equation that doesn't need to be chiseled away, right? It needs to be understood that we have to have it. But again, to elevate that conversation to the positive cost of food, we need to have an honest conversation about transportation. What has happened? Why it has happened? How do we prevent it from happening again? And what's a contingency plan? Because we don't have one. I mean, if we had a contingency plan, you wouldn't have all this crap sitting on the dock in Long Beach. And I don't give a crap either about, the flat screen TVs. I get that, that side of the world. But when you have food sitting out there that's going to waste, when the global food waste is $2 trillion or whatever that number is, right? It just, come on. Yeah. It's silly to me. Yep. We've got to get smarter. We've got to get better. And I hope we can put the right people to the table. Thanks for sharing that, though. I appreciate that perspective. So tell folks what they can expect from AWG coming up in 2022. Anything exciting besides, you being on my show a little bit and hanging out with me? Obviously, that's probably the focal point for AWG.
Well, what's exciting is your new hairdo, dude. I like that hair, man. I tell you what, dude, you got a little gray in there. Looks good on you.
A little gray. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now. Thank you for using the word "a little gray." I appreciate that. There's a lot of gray.
Good, man.
Damn right, I look good.
If my wife was home right now, I'd tell her to come look at it. I'd say, "Wow, look at this guy."
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was creepy, but I appreciate that.
Hey, we've done creepier stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that too. Yeah, no, it's definitely great, but I've earned them. I always tell somebody, some of these are because of my age, and some of them are self-inflicted. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So what's exciting? What's exciting? What's coming up?
Yeah, real exciting. So I touched on a little bit. We just opened up started shipping groceries, the center store stuff out of St. Cloud, Minnesota this past week. And we broke ground back in October on a brand new perishable facility. So that's going to be hopefully third quarter of 22 that will be up and running. So that's going to be exciting. So AWG is growing and a lot of good stuff coming down the path. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, it's a cool, I guess like we talked on earlier, in our conversation, it's a really cool model. And it's a model that, if you're a supplier out there and you're not dealing with you guys, it's certainly worthy of a phone call, track Tony down, talk to him, get with the guys, get in the program, because you have a neat opportunity to do some really cool stuff and you get to impact and touch, I think, some really cool lives because of these independent grocers.
Yes. And that's a lot of my role is getting out and seeing these guys and, touching our divisions and touching our members and just, how can we help them sell more product?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Dude,
Yeah,
I
it's good stuff.
hey, I thank you for hanging out with me a little bit today. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
it's
taking
awesome.
time out of, such a busy schedule that you keep and being so powerful. And I appreciate you leaving the posse out in the waiting room, not having all the people that surround you, like you do, just being by yourself. I appreciate it.
I'm
I
just
know how
sad.
you roll.
I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken right now that we have to end this. I was thinking we'd do this maybe like once a week.
I'll have you back on. You want to come back on? Come on anytime.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm happy to chat with you.
I just may pop on and do like a quick 5-10 minute chat with you.
Well, I'm down. Let's go do it. You want to do a monthly update? What's going on in the world? I'm down.
I'd love to.
You want to come on and do a broadcast with, be my sidekick on one of my shows? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I've got we've got some great guests that are coming on. We've got some great guests we're getting ready to film and do some different stuff. I'm going to go up on the board out there and figure out who it's going to be and what it's going to be. And I'm going to bring you. Will you be my Ed McMahon? Will you be my sidekick?
Hey, should I just sit there and smile for you?
Yeah, that's again back to being a little creepy. I'd like for you to participate, but you can sit and smile. That's okay. Maybe I can get my guys to do. Yeah, maybe I could get my guys to do something.
And maybe I'll just pop my head.
Yeah, we could do that.
Pop my head in every once in a while, just like that.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Maybe I can get my guys to do.
We'll make it like a weekly broadcast.
I'm down. I'm 100%. I'm 100% on board. And you know what we can do too? It'd be great. Maybe my guys could do a little CGI thing, and I could get you to sit on my shoulder like a parrot, and you could just talk into my ear as we're doing an interview. I love that. I'm working. I'm making notes right now to go back to my team for what we can do.
You don't remember? I did sit on your shoulder one night.
I know. It's literally why I had to have Tommy John surgery in my knee. That's exactly why. Oh, Jesus. I told you it was going off the rails. We're stopping this now before this.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm already apologizing to everybody. You went off the rails.
You don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. No, believe me. You don't have to apologize. Listen, brother, I appreciate you.
I am supporting my AWG Cup here, so.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I have to get you one.
You know what? You send me one. I will put it up here and I'll put it on the air. Not a problem. I'm down. I absolutely all about it. Listen, man, I do appreciate you hanging out with us. So I appreciate you sharing the story, what AWG's up to and why I think they're important and why that those that aren't participating with you guys kind of take a look like, hey, we probably need to reach out. This is a group that I think makes a lot of sense, especially emerging brands to have that kind of action and communication with independent retailers that can pivot and do some fun things. It's a cool opportunity. It really is. So I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you hanging, brother. And you are invited back anytime. You know that. And I'll see you soon. I know that. And I can't wait. You know what? I'll text you after the Colts lose. I will. I'll text you.
I'm going to text you when they win.
Then I'll look for that text later on this year when the preseason comes around.
You'll look for that text next year, right?
Yeah. When preseason rolls back around, I'll look for that first text about the Colts.
Come on. I'm going to buy you a Colts shirt too. And you're going to wear a Colts jersey on there.
If you didn't notice, I am wearing a little blue and white today in honor of the Colts. I was going to kind of pull this out.
You look good. Yeah.
I appreciate that. No, in all seriousness, though, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed our time hanging out. I'm sorry it was off the rails. I knew it was off the rails. It really wasn't off the rails. We could do worse. But, like I say all the time, go inspire somebody. It's not hard to do. And hopefully we gave you a little inspiration, a little laugh, gave you a little insight to AWG and why they're important and the things that they're doing to make a difference in the communities perhaps you even live in. So thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to check us out on social media. That's where the cool kids are. That's where we hang out. And we'll see everybody soon. Take care. And like I say, go inspire somebody. See you, everybody.